Well, here we were out here hoping for more DLC, and these slick motherfuckers announced a sequel. So let's talk about it.
Oh, 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 The Dope Show.
So let's just be honest, the trailer is pretty limited, and that's okay. Because if you're a fan of the original game, or you're a fan of the style of games, you're just happy to see a sequel. You know, we're getting more. So let's talk about what it is that we know. So we see a lot of the same weapons, you know, obviously the bolt gun, the plasma gun. We do see some new enemies, which that's a big one for me. And we see very similar gameplay. So as far as what the trailer showcased, it's pretty much just more of the same, and we see some new enemies. And that's not a bad thing. But I think we are all hoping for somewhat of an expansion, especially on the enemy side. So for me personally, I'm more excited about just the announcement itself rather than what I actually see in the trailer. Now, sales-wise, the original game did pretty well. And I know it was even on Game Pass for a little while as well. So if you're somebody that missed the original game, you should turn my stupid video off right now and go buy it and play the shit out of it. It's like you can get the original game and the DLC for like $15 right now on Steam. Okay? If you enjoy these kinds of games, like basically like, do you like Doom? If you like the original Doom, you will love Boltgun. Go buy it and play the shit out of it right now. So it is slated for 2026. You know, hopefully there's no delays or anything, and we will be able to enjoy a second game sometime next year. And I would like to briefly talk about some of the things that I'm hoping that they really expand upon in the sequel. Now, I do have a lot of Boltgun content that I will be dropping here pretty soon. It's mostly just locations for the secrets, some basic tips, and then of course an overall game review. So for those of you that are interested, stay tuned for that. But in this video, I'm just going to briefly cover just some of the things that I think would improve the game. So first thing on my list is I want more enemies, you know, more variation. And that's already been confirmed with the trailer. Hopefully we're not losing any enemies. So I want everything we have now, including what we got in Forges of Corruption, plus, you know, at least just a handful of more enemies. Now, I understand a lot of this stuff comes with a price tag because they have to license it, but I definitely think, you know, if you're going to drop a sequel, you got to expand. Now, on that same topic, or under that kind of same umbrella, would be the bosses. That was one of the things I was a little disappointed in with the original game. So I definitely would like to see more bosses, even like some mini bosses, some hidden bosses even would be really nice. In the original game, you refight the bosses over and over again. And I definitely felt like that was a weak point in the game. But again, I understand a lot of this stuff comes with a price tag because, you know, they have to get a license for it. But that's definitely an area that I feel like the game needed some more improvement. So next thing on my list would be the weapons. I definitely don't want us to lose any of the weapons from the original game, and I would like to be able to keep what we have, obviously, from Forges of Corruption. You know, we were just given some absolutely ridiculous weapons in the DLC, which was a lot of fun. So again, I would like to see an expansion, just, you know, maybe a handful of new weapons, you know, maybe some new grenades, you know, some proximity mines or something. You know, just expand upon that a bit more. Now, on that note, I was not a fan of the shotgun from the original game. I was actually very disappointed because it's an Astartes shotgun. And so for those of you that read the books, so for those of you that, you know, are Warhammer fans or you read the books, you know, I would just, for me personally, I would just expect an Astartes shotgun to be a completely ridiculous weapon, at least power-wise. I think that's more where my disappointment was with the power or the lack thereof in the Astartes shotgun in the original game. So, you know, maybe they'll tweak that. You know, maybe they'll make it a bit more powerful, at least at close range. Now, one of my pet peeves about the original game was the unlimited ammo power-up. Now, for me, it's like, look, if you're going to give me unlimited ammo, then I don't think I should have to reload, right? Because, when you use certain weapons, you didn't have to reload. You could just fire to your heart's content. But then other weapons with a smaller magazine or with a magazine, you had to stop and reload. So that's something I would really like to see changed if possible. Because that was something that was fun for me in the original game, was like stacking your power-ups, like, picking up unlimited ammo with the Aura Doom and just like wreaking havoc. That was a lot of fun to me. But it was really annoying, when you had to reload during your unlimited ammo. So something else I would like, I would really like to see an expansion of the close range combat. So obviously with the chainsword, I would like to see that explored a bit more, instead of it just being, your charge attack. Maybe we can get, some lights and like some medium attacks, maybe a deflection, something that could maybe offer you the opportunity to play through the whole game with just your chainsword. I would really like to see that expanded upon. And also, hey, let's throw in, like some actual hand-to-hand stuff, like, maybe some punches and kicks, and obviously be able to combine all of those things. So, maybe a kick and then be able to give somebody a slash with a chainsword. I think all of that would greatly enrich the game. So I would really like more graphic violence. So instead of everybody just like exploding, I would say like take it in the direction of like Brutal Doom. For those of you that are not aware, Brutal Doom is just like one of the greatest mods ever. If you're a fan of the original Doom, it is an experience that you have to have in your lifetime, before you off yourself. I will leave a link in the description to the mod. At least at the time of this recording, it is free and it is perfectly safe. So here's a small little clip just showing you, just being able to shoot people's, like, you can take people's heads off, you can take limbs off, and, people shoot people in the throat. Like, there's all kinds of great stuff where they'll sit there in agony before you finish them off, or they'll just bleed out. I mean, this game already has like the taunts. As you can see here, Brutal Doom has a lot of different emotes and taunts for you to play with. And so does this game. In fact, this game is, the way they translated that into this game is fantastic. That's one of my favorite things about this game is, threatening the demons and just talking a bunch of shit before you do something horrible to them. Just absolutely one of my favorite things. So I would really hope that they maybe, take more away from Brutal Doom and implement that into Boltgun. Now, kind of on that note, as far as like, wanting more graphic violence, let's get some finisher moves in here. Let's get some executions, they don't have to go crazy with it, but, I think some optional executions would be nice. Now, how they decide, and it doesn't have to translate over into the game mechanics like, like the modern Doom games where you get, ammo and power-ups and all that. It could just, be just for the hell of it, and just make it optional. Just like, look, if I feel like, ripping a wounded demon's head off, then like, let me do it, whatever. But I definitely want more graphic violence, because for those of us that read the books are pretty violent, and I definitely think that should translate over into the video games. Now, I know the fan base gave them a lot of shit for the secrets, the quote unquote secrets in the original game, because a lot of them, like, they weren't really secrets, and they kind of were, but they weren't really secrets, And so I know they caught a lot of shit for that, because they instantly improved it with the DLC. In fact, that's one of the reasons I haven't dropped my Boltgun videos yet, because I'm still missing a few secrets. But I'm probably just going to have to break down and, visit somebody's website and look them up. sometimes you just got to get help. It is what it is. But because I definitely want that 100%. I'm real close on my 100%. I am definitely an achievement / trophy hunter for games that are important to me, and this is a very important game to me. So I would really like to have that 100%. I want to have that platinum. But on that note of the secrets, I really hope they continue that, and I hope that they make them challenging, like they did. Starting with the DLC. There's some in the regular game that are you might have a hard time finding, but give us challenging secrets to find. Make them meaningful, I would say, because some of them in the original game kind of pissed me off because they weren't meaningful. I forget what level that is, but there's this level where it's just like this secret wall, and you go off and you have this secret encounter, and the secret you find, it just wasn't really relevant to the gameplay, really. So hopefully they'll continue with that, and they'll be challenging, not impossible, but challenging. And really, I'd say, like I say, really really take from Doom, because that is one of the fun things about Doom, and that's something that adds a lot of value to the original Doom. Is just finding all these wacky secrets, all these hidden areas and power-ups. That's something that's part of Doom's legacy, and without that, I think Doom would have been successful regardless. For me, that is just something that really puts Doom over the top. And you can even say that about the early Wolfenstein games. There's a lot of crazy, wacky secrets in there as well. So I would definitely say, hey, look, if you have it in the budget, definitely get that stuff in the game, because it adds so much value. Because there are gamers out here that like a challenge. We don't just want to, play through the game one time and then toss it and move on to something else. We want to revisit it. We want to see if we can find this stuff. It just adds so much more fun and so much more value to the game. So really hoping they keep the secrets going. They keep them challenging, but not impossible. And give us some hidden areas. Give us some hidden bosses even. I would love that. Get some hidden bosses that, hand you your ass. Just get some optional hidden bosses. And, they could even do them like, kind of in the Final Fantasy style, where they're actually they're more difficult than, the bosses that you're supposed to face. I think that would definitely be something fun that they can put into this game. Now, last thing I want to touch on, again, we're going to get further into this when I do the full review of the game. But really hoping that Horde mode comes back. I think that's a must. Horde mode in the first game is exquisite, especially if you are somebody that is into playing on Exterminatus. So if you did the Exterminatus run through for the campaign, because your boy got that achievement. But bring back the Horde mode. And, if we can get maybe 2 or 3 maps instead of just the one, if that's not too much to ask, that would be fantastic. And also something I think that would be great would be to add in a co-op mode for Horde. It doesn't have to be 4 players. I think 2 players would be sufficient, because, again, for those of you out there that did it on Exterminatus, you definitely could have used some help there. Definitely could have used the buddy at multiple times there. But, if that's too much of an ask, I understand. But as long as we get Horde mode, I'm happy. I really want to have it with more than one map, because you only get one map on the original game. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video. So you guys feel free to leave your comments on the trailer. Leave your comments on anything that I've said. Let's talk about what you guys would like to see in the next game, and maybe we could talk about that in a later video. All right, fellow Boltgun fans. So as always, I would like to thank you for stopping by the Dope Show. Always be yourself. Don't let old dead people tell you who you gotta be or what you need to do. You be yourself. You take care of each other. safely enjoy your nightlife. This is Frank Midnight, signing off.